Okay, Master Duel dropped around 3 days ago. I think people are mostly still trying to figure out what to do, which cards to craft, how to invest their gems, and all that good stuff. But when this game released and I saw the ban list, one thing was immediately clear to me, which was that we are obviously going to show off a Thunder Dragon deck list free-to-play to get into Platinum rank for this season. The reason we're doing a free-to-play version is because, personally, I'm not willing to invest gems right now or crafting points to a large degree because there's a lot of uncertainty with the game and we don't really know whether or not Konami will split the ban lists or when they will release, for example, Burst of Destiny, because there's going to be a lot of meta impactful cards in there. So maybe you want to try to hold your gems for as long as you can for now to then, you know, get your hands on these new archetypes that will be released. Now, the first thing you want to do before we even go into a deck list, if you have a couple of thousand gems lying around, probably not, but I mean, if you have like 1,000 lying around and you're willing to spend on the Thunder Dragon deck, I'd really recommend getting the Roaring Thunder pack that we're looking at here right now, where you can get pretty much all of the archetype cards from Thunder Dragon. There's a lot of unnecessary stuff in there as well, like the Watt cards, but I guess they at least give you crafting points. Colossus, you have Titan, you have Roar, you have Dark, you have Hawk, you have all the important pieces you need for the Thunder Dragon deck in there. But it is obviously completely possible to craft this deck even without opening packs from this set. Now, before you get shocked by Maxis and Ash Blossoms here and Impermanence maybe, this is the list that I used to get into Platinum, and I believe that one of the first things you should do is craft non-engine cards in this game. Never craft your engine cards, because you can pull them from the packs anyway. So I used my crafting points to get Maxi, Ash Blossom, and Impermanence. I haven't used any money on the game yet, so let's see how this turns out. But those are the non-engine cards I chose. Maxi is of course quite iffy. If I was to be a if I already knew that I'm never gonna spend money on this game, I probably wouldn't craft Maxi because it's uncertain if the ban lists will merge, what will happen with the ban list at Master Duel, right? There's a lot of unanswered questions to still to be answered by Konami, but for now this is what we're working with. So don't get shocked by this. You can totally play other non-engine cards as well. Chalice is one of the best rare cards, of course, that we know. It's Forbidden Chalice. So if you want to play that, you can obviously play that as well. But let's get into this deck list. So one of the things that I have to get this out first that annoys me so far about this game is that you cannot sort your deck in any other way than they are giving you. So I cannot go through my Thunder Dragon cards in order. I have to go through Matrix, Maxi, Ash Blossom. Those are probably things that are going to change in the future. It's just a very slight adjustment that they can make. And I think this game in general feels a lot like a beta version of fully released game yet, which gives me a lot of hope. But given the fact that they haven't really announced anything in that regard, or they haven't really stated that this is a beta version, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So the game plan is just to bring out these fusion cards. And one of the things that makes this deck quite free to play friendly is that you don't need any of the more expensive link monsters or extra deck cards, because you're really only gonna make these three, and then sometimes you go into a Phoenix or a Summoner or something like a Liner. That's a card that I've crafted for the deck as well, because sometimes you can go for like a Berserker of the Tenyi, which is a normal rarity card that is a link 3 that is a 3000 body. So now for the main deck, we play 3 Thunder Dragon Matrix. I will go through the Thunder Dragon cards first. We play 3 Thunder Dragon, 3 Dark, 1 Hawk, 2 Roar, and 1 Duo. So that makes for 9 super rare slot cards for the Thunder Dragon cards. That's why I said if you have the gems lying around, use them for the Roaring Thunder pack. You're going to get all of these cards really quickly. But if not, of course, it's quite a lot of super rare cards that you're going to have to spend your crafting points on. I think in terms of ratios, you could maybe go with 2 Matrix as well. And in certain Thunder builds, you could even not play Matrix at all. It's also a possibility. For me personally, if I play this pure build, I really like the Matrix because you can normal summon it and make Colossus instantly if you have it with OG Thunder Dragon. So that's something really nice, of course. We play 3 Aloof Lupine. So Aloof Lupine is our main starter. If you're looking at Batteryman Solar, which in the TCG, that was a card that was heavily used with the Thunder Dragon engine pretty much always, because it sends a Thunder monster to the grave. It lets you combo off by making tokens when you summon a Thunder monster. So then you can go into really crazy link plays. Aloof Lupine is more of a control starter. It really focuses on getting Colossus out as fast as possible and not running into Max C as much as well. So that's also an upside for this card. And it's only a super rare, so that's why I think you can craft it quite easily. It also has a nice effect where if it gets destroyed, you can target a banished monster and put it back to your hand. So it works really well with the Thunder Dragons, of course. We play 1 Wyver Burster, 1 Cold Up Serpent, and 3 Chaos Space. Now, This was an engine that I didn't use to get into platinum ranked. I got to the platinum rank before I used this engine, but I felt like this gave it the final boost of consistency it needed, because let's be real, the Thunder Dragon sometimes can brick a bit. So I crafted these 5 cards when I had the chance to. I think Chaos Space is also a card, and the Wyver Burst and Collapse Serpent. If you're interested in playing Chaos decks, these, or Dragon Link or something like that, these will be cards that you will need in the future anyway. So it's not too like, it doesn't worry me to craft them anyway. It's probably going to be good down the line in some regards. Same for Allure, which we played 3 times. This is also super rare, and to be honest, I will say we have quite a lot of super rares in this deck, but we also have to think about how we can use these cards in the future. So if they give us any value in the future, for example, the Thunder Dragon cards, they're only going to be playable if I want to play a Thunder Dragon deck, or maybe a 60 card combo strategy with Thunder Dragons. But Allure is a card that maybe we'll see play in other decks as well. And if I know I play a lot of dark decks in general, like, I don't know, maybe I play Phantom Knights, I could also splash this in maybe. Not necessarily the best card in that deck specifically, but in general, I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about. Down the line, in the future, this will probably still be a decent card to have, so it's not too bad to craft. Thunder Dragon Fusion it's fine too. You don't have to craft 3. One of the beautiful things about Thunder Dragon is obviously that we can play 14 non-engine cards, because our goal is only to bring out Colossus and play a control type of game. The non-engine cards you choose, that's up to you. You don't have to play the ones that I'm playing here. So for me, it's 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Impermanence, 3 Torrential, and 2 Cosmic Cyclone. I've already mentioned that you have 9 Ultra Rares here, but these are going to be good down the line. So it's going to be good to craft those cards, maybe except for Maxi, depending on how the game develops in terms of the ban list. But in general, these are good cards to craft anyway. So if you're spending your ultra rare crafting points on anything, use them on these cards. Torrential Tribute is one of the best non-engine cards in the rare slot. So you can craft this super easily, and it has a lot of neat interactions with the Thunder Dragon archetype anyway, where if your opponent summons a monster and you have Colossus or Titan on the field, you can protect your own Colossus while all the opponent's monsters get destroyed, and then you can protect your Colossus by banishing, let's say, a Thunder Dragon Dark, get more advantage out of this. So Torrential, it has some neat applications. It's maybe not the best card in general, and maybe it's a bit controversial that we play sort of a combo mid-range deck, but play a trap card that's so slow in it. But that's sort of a trade-off we just take by not playing the most optimal list, maybe. But this is the best next thing we can do. And then 2 Cosmic, because I am scared of cards like Skill Drain, because even though all our Thunder Dragon effects activate in the grave and in the banish pile, our Colossus is not protected if there's Skill Drain on the field, and we cannot destroy cards with Titan, which is usually our aggressive play and the way we break boards. Going through the extra deck in general, there's a lot of stuff that you don't need, right? As you can see, I just put a lot of random cards in here. You don't need the Link monsters for Thunder Dragon deck to work. Anyway, most of the time at least. I play 1 Striker Dragon just for the Chaos Space engine. You don't have to play that, as I said. Nightmare Phoenix is one of the cards I would recommend you to craft, because it is such a generic card, and as I've already explained, it is one of the cards that you're going to have in the future as well. I have the Track Black. I think this is a reasonably alright monster for the rare slot. You target a monster this card points to. Each time it destroys an opponent's monster by battle this turn, draw 1 card. So maybe you can get a bit of advantage out of that. Cross Sheep is one of the best rare slot Link 2s, and it has some synergy in this deck, of course, where you can get like a free body on board and then go into Decode Talker. Lina is a card that I really like because it can search the OG Thunder Dragon. If you had Effect Veiler, it could also search that, of course. It cannot search the Wyver Burster because it had 1,800 defense, and it cannot search Matrix because it has 2,000 defense. But in general, this is a nice card where you can also use it to Link Climb and maybe get a super strong light monster from your opponent, and then just generic Link 3s and 1 Link 4 that I've never made this. Alright, Thunder Dragon replays. Let's get this in. We open Matrix, Ash, Collapse Serpent, Thunder Dragon, Allure. The first one here is versus Eldritch, from what I remember. It still sucks that we can't see the opponent's hand in these replays. That would be super helpful, especially when looking back at those games to learn something, but I guess it's fine like this as well. We open pretty well versus Eldritch. They open Sanguine. We can Ash that, of course. Always going to go for that. It's fine because as long as you can make Colossus versus a control deck like Eldritch that plays a lot from Destruction with cards like Torrential, the Conquistador, this is reasonably fine. We use Thunder Dragon to add another Thunder Dragon. Use Allure, of course, best card. We don't draw into something like Draw or Dark, which would have been nice. We draw into double Maxi, which is pretty bad versus Eldritch, but we're going to go for Colossus. So one of the things I want you to look at is how we set the Matrix instead of normal summoning it. The reason for that is that we can play around Floodgates, like that can be only 1. And one thing that maybe if you come from Duel Links is not too familiar for you, because this is something that only really came up with Thunder Dragons and I think maybe Glad Beasts, which actually I think is in Duel Links. I don't really know. You can also use set cards as fusion materials. So this is one of the main reasons Colossus is so good versus Floodgates as well. And a card like Matrix should be played at 3 in my opinion. If you play somewhat of a pure Thunder Dragon deck, because you can play around those Floodgates. So there was a lot of stuff happening here. Pretty much we drew the Cosmic off the Maxi that we could use to banish their Golden Land Trap, which basically took their engine away from them, so it set them back 1 turn. Never forget that you can also summon the Titan via its normal summoning clause, so you don't only have to... So, wait, how do I say this? You don't have to summon it with Thunder Dragon Fusion. You can also summon it by banishing a Thunder Fusion effect monster. Sorry, a Thunder Fusion... a Thunder Fusion monster and a Thunder Effect monster from your hand. And the Fusion monster has to be banished from the field. That way you can get Titan on the field. So as you can see, our opponent has a lot of impermanences. We pretty much use the Titans to bait those trap cards, which is reasonably fine. We once again set the Matrix. In this case, it didn't really matter, but I just sort of tried to... I don't know if there's a word, but I tried to habitualize. Like, I tried to make it a habit that I always set the Matrix instead of normal summoning it if I want to make Colossus with it. Matrix also being a nice card because it gets us basically a +1 where we can add it to our hand from our deck, and it's a nice interruption during the opponent's turn. Now, I think one thing you could see here was that we wanted to use the Titan by discarding the Thunder Dragon, but he chained another card. So one of the things we always have to look at is how Thunder Dragon Titan is a card that can miss timing. What does that mean? It means that if we use a Thunder Dragon effect in the hand and we want to use Thunder Dragon Titan has to be Chain Link 2. It cannot be Chain Link 3. You can't do OG Thunder Dragon effect, opponent chains something, and then you chain as Chain Link 3 your Titan. Titan always has to be Chain Link 2. Right? It always has to chain immediately to the Thunder Dragon effect, so that's why we could not activate the Titan. So our opponent used the impermanence on the Thunder Dragon, which was a heads-up play by them. With that being said, let's get into the next replay. I'm picking these replays randomly here. I just noticed that the gameplay is quite fast. I haven't really looked at replays before, but it goes by pretty quickly. We play versus... Oh, right, it was Sky Striker. So we open Maxi, Aloof, Thunder Dragon, Chaos Space. Our opponent normals Ray and uses the effect to special summon, which I didn't really understand since I could just chain Maxi, and you should always play around Maxi in this format, I believe. Maybe it's a TCG player that hasn't really adjusted to Maxi being in the format yet. They search engage in the end phase with Shizuku, which is the standard play. Now, our hand is fine, you know, I want to pause this for a second and go over something. So we open double Aloof, Thunder Dragon, Allure, Chaos Space, Matrix. So there's a lot of options. We could use the Allure to potentially draw into something like Raw and Dark, and we don't have to fear not having a play afterwards because we have double Aloof, so we can choose to just banish one of them. We can use Chaos Space, pitching the Matrix from our hand to search something like a Collapse Serpent, banish the Matrix, get another Matrix to the hand, basically getting us advantage for free. Another thing we could do is use the Thunder Dragon effect to add 2 Thunder Dragons to our hand and use Chaos Space to discard one of the Thunder Dragons to basically also get a +1. It's also a very reasonable option. I don't remember which one I went for here, but there is a lot of stuff you have to think about, especially versus Striker. You could think about there being Widow Anchors, Impermanences, and I think one of them was Called by the Grave, so that was one of the cards I didn't really think about them having, but I think you also have to take into consideration which cards people usually play right now, and I think Called by the Grave is one of the cards people tend to craft because it plays around Maxi, or it helps you in many decks versus Maxi, right? So I'll let the gameplay go on here. I think I used Thunder Dragon first to get 2 Thunder Dragons, so my plan was to use Chaos Space, discarding one of the Thunder Dragons that I searched, but he uses Called by the Grave immediately on Thunder Dragon. Personally, I don't think this is a really good, well thought out play by them, because Thunder Dragon is usually just a bait in the Thunder Dragon deck. The cool thing about, and this is also something I want to point out here for a second, the cool thing is, even if they Called by the Grave your Thunder Dragon was considered to be activated, which means that if we would set a Matrix, for example, if we would normal summon a Matrix, we could still make Colossus, because this still counts as activating a Thunder effect in the hand. Alright, they use Vela on Aloof, which is a bit unfortunate. We use the Matrix in our banish pile though to add another Matrix copy to the hand. Oh my god, we once again have the super long chain link animation. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but personally I think the animations are still way too clunky and... Or do you say clumsy or clunky? I don't know, but for me, everything just takes a bit too long. If they want it so you can play heavy combo decks as well, like Infernoble or Thunder Dragon combo or Tribrigade Lilisk even, they really have to speed those things up, because I think it can be very draining to play combo decks, which, I mean, I guess I don't dislike that per se, but because it encourages players to play something else than like heavy combo decks. But I guess combo decks are also part of the game, so people should be able to play them without having to deal with those super long animations. There should be like an option to turn those off maybe. Anyway, that was off topic. So we go Chaos Base. We pitched the Thunder Dragon Matrix that we added from our deck. We summon the Collapse Serpent, and then we use both to go into Nightmare Phoenix to bait out the last back row. We discard Impermanence because we have Thunder Dragon Fusion in hand, so we can go for Titan and potentially have a follow-up play next turn, because we can banish Thunder Dragon Fusion from the grave to add another Thunder monster from the deck to the hand. But they use Impermanence, which in this case, it's pretty alright for us, but because this card, eventually we would have had to deal with it anyway, so to get rid of it like that is fine, and the Impermanence we discarded off the Phoenix is not really that valuable versus Sky Striker. We had a Thunder Dragon Roar. I think the main thought here was that probably we want to go for something like Titan here then. They Veiler the Colossus, which didn't really make any sense to me. Oh no, of course we didn't want to go for Titan. What am I saying? Of course we wanted to go for Colossus because we knew they searched Engage in the end phase. So that way they could not activate the Engage on their turn. So this was pretty much our win condition. Let's talk about this for a second, because this replay goes by really quickly. Colossus is our main win condition versus Sky Striker, and so usually they search Engage in the end phase, and if you manage to break their board and set up one Colossus, you're good to go. We pretty much put them on having to top deck either Impermanence or something like Chalice maybe if they play it, which is very likely since it's a spell card and it's really cheap in the game right now. So that's super good. So it's their turn. I think they draw, and from what I remember, they just set a card exactly, and it's our turn again, and now we can just go off. Like, we have Thunder Dragon Fusion in the grave. We drew Thunder Dragon Fusion for turn, which is crazy. We add Thunder Dragon from our deck to a hand, we use it, and then I think I can just fast forward this because this replay will be over in a second. So as you can see, the gameplay is to establish your win condition as fast as possible, which is Colossus or Titan if you have interruption with it, like a Matrix or a Dragon Dog in your hands, to use it on your opponent's turn. And then basically just grind it out from there. But one of the cool things I love about Thunder Dragon as well is how incredibly explosive it can be, right? Like, as you can see here, we just put game on board super easily because we can just put out a 3200 body like nothing. Okay, so that's my Thunder Dragon deck I used for Platinum Ranked. It's pretty free to play, it's pretty cheap. If you're someone that comes from Duel Links and maybe wants to give the Thunder Dragon deck a try, or if you're a TCG player that has never had the chance to play Colossus, it's a lot of fun. It's a very cool combo, mid-rangey deck. And yeah, like I said, I think it's reasonably easy to build. Leave me a comment down below if you've built this deck, what you think of it, what do you think of this deck list? Is there maybe a way to play this even cheaper, even better? Let me know. And with that being said, and with this being the first Master Duel video, and with a lot more to come, hopefully, if this game develops in the right direction, in the right direction, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, then there's going to be a lot of more content to come. All right, I hope you guys loved the video, and I will see you in the next one.